This is the Persuasive Speech for Marley Ellenberg, and this is my audience. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, there are 1.53 million prisoners in the United States. I have done prison ministry for 4 years, and I have seen women come in, and I have seen women go out, and I have seen them and I've heard them state how they were not prepared, and that was one of the reasons why that they ended up coming back in. I see the need for structured programs for our women. Recidivism is a social program that can be improved in a God-honoring way by providing halfway homes with well-structured program. God values justice, but He also values mercy. And through providing transitional halfway homes, we can extend mercy to those exiting prison. The United States faces a critical time with a large prison population that has contributed highly by high recidivism rates, which could be partially alleviated through well-structured halfway homes. Let's begin to look at the scope of the correction system. Now, as I stated, we've got 1.53 million prisoners that are currently incarcerated. Now, this is a cost of $38.8 million to the taxpayers. The cost of incarceration is great. Contributing to the issue is recidivism. So, recidivism is such a funny word. I've had to repeat it several times, and people have asked me, what does that mean? Now, first, one tip, just say it really fast. Recidivism. Recidivism is one of the most fundamental concepts in criminal justice. It refers to a person's relapse. It's relapse. You know, they go through the correction system or they go through an intervention, but they relapse. And that is according to DeRose, Cooper, and Snyder. The study that they did identified high rates of recidivism. They reported the study was 404,638 prisoners in 30 states after their release from prison in 2005. 3 years post-release, 2/3 returned to prison. 5 years post-release, 3/4, which was 76.6% of prisoners released, were rearrested. I mean, that is a really, really high number, 76.6%. So, one solution to this problem is halfway homes to assist transitions. Halfway houses with well-structured programs will help. Valerie Clark stated, in predicting 2 types of recidivism among newly released prisoners, securing stable housing is one of the first and foremost critical obstacles faced by returning prisoners. A majority of newly released prisoners relied on family and friends for housing immediately on release. She saw in this study that, you know, of course they needed shelter, that whenever they had shelter, they had security, and then they were able to focus on their programs. They were able to focus on getting a job, and then they were also focused on being able to focus on the details of their release, you know, if there was a parole issue or something like that. So a well-structured halfway house, what does that look like? What does that include? It includes focus on healing and recovery, discipleship classes, relationship with the Lord, classes that would focus on coping strategies, job placement, assistance and training, educational needs, a capable staff that could offer evaluations, resources, and support. The traditional halfway house would offer these services, but it also would act as a center where those that had been released but weren't living there could also access these services. So what can the church do to answer this call? This is a great need. So what can the church do to answer this call? They can provide support to ministries that already exist. They can also create Bible studies, prayer ministry, love and support to these programs. They can also support a member who wants to start a halfway house, or the church themselves can start a halfway house. I think of the scripture in Matthew 25 where Jesus said, I was in prison and you came to me. And people were saying, "What are you talking about, Jesus?" And he said, "If you did it to the least of these, then you did it to me. Then you've done it for me." And that's what the church needs to realize, that this 153 million is an open field for ministry for the church. And we, as the church, we can answer the call.